Understanding the strategy, why Bannon sees politics as war. Steve Bannon built his strategy on one core belief. Politics is war. So rather than a contest of ideas, he sees it as an actual war where you defeat an enemy. Bannon's thinking comes from two main sources. First, the far right philosopher called Julius Evola and what is known as the Traditionalist movement. Evola saw modern liberal society as corrupt and failing. He rejected equality and democracy as symptoms of decay. He wanted a hierarchical, traditional society led by warrior elites, with a vision of permanent conflict between order and chaos. Second, from Carl Schmitt's idea that politics is defined by the distinction between friend and enemy. You are either with us or against us, and no middle ground. Bannon treats Evola's spiritual elitism and Schmidt's politics of enmity as one framework. Together, they form the backbone of modern far right strategy. Society is declining, compromise is corruption, and survival requires total conflict. He has said openly he wants to bring everything crashing down and destroy today's establishment. During Trump's early years, he called his project the deconstruction of the administrative state, meaning dismantling the professional institutions that keep democratic government functioning. How it shapes his strategy. Once politics becomes war, communication becomes a weapon. Information exists to dominate, not to inform. The goal is exhaustion, not persuasion. Every tactic he uses comes from this mindset, flooding the media, turning politics into culture war, and spreading outrage. If politics is war, journalism is the enemy territory. Debate is a trap. Facts are ammunition, useful only if they hurt the opponent. His operations rely on volume, aggression, and constant crisis. They are designed to make ordinary discussion impossible. Take his approach during the 2016 campaign in America. When journalists fact checked Trump's statements, Bannon called it working the refs. He treated scrutiny itself as enemy action. The point was not defending the claims, it was delegitimizing the people asking the questions. And how this works on people? Well, framing politics as war taps into fear and belonging. If you tell people they are at war, you give them a clear identity, soldiers on the right side of history, a license to ignore doubt, empathy, and compromise. It simplifies a complex world into loyalty tests. That emotional clarity is powerful. People who feel ignored or humiliated find purpose in the idea of fighting back. The effect of this framing is not only institutional, it works on people's emotions too. So, recognizing the pattern. You can spot this framing when you hear language that divides people into patriots and traitors, civilization and chaos, purity and corruption. When every disagreement becomes an existential threat, you are inside the war narrative. So, what can we do about this? Bannon offers belonging, purpose, and meaning. He tells people that they are soldiers in a cosmic battle. The counter is not just facts and logic, it is belonging that includes rather than excludes, and purpose that builds instead of destroys. That means creating culture, not just arguments, but stories people want to share, or humor that connects rather than humiliates, symbols and language that stand for something real and positive. It means speaking to what people actually feel, which is ignored, left behind, searching for something bigger than themselves. and to be able to survive. Bannon channels that into tribal warfare. We can channel it into collective action. So talk about what you are building together. No, talk to other people about what we should be building. Give people something to belong to that's not defined by who they hate. Make cooperation feel powerful. So when others try to turn politics into tribal conflict, the answer is to have already built an alternative story about who people are and what they are part of. And I know a lot of us wish for a political party that would start to give this type of messaging. But we've been waiting such a long time for it. So I say we can't keep waiting any longer. We need to start doing it ourselves. And I've seen it happen. I'm seeing it happen. Like since everything has started in Trump's second term, like all those people that have gone out on Instagram and even TikTok, though I'm not on TikTok, etc., to like create their own content, to you know create an alternative media source when they saw that the mainstream media was under the control or too afraid to speak out. You know, people um, like Aaron Parnas and things started to create their own content to get news out there, and other people trying to document what's happening and inform people, as well as, you know, advice about what to do in certain situations with ICE and legal concerns, etc. I'm also seeing it happening in Italy, like really young people who have been so disengaged in politics for so long, just picking up, you know, their phones and recording on Instagram and things. And again, like telling people what's happening in Parliament, telling people what's behind the scenes, informing people. And I think it's marvelous. We've got the same thing happening in Britain with new media as well, like Double Down News or Novara Media. These new media outlets that use social media a lot to get their message across, as I'm saying, these everyday citizens, these everyday people like you or me, which is what's exactly what I'm trying to do now. In fact, you know, we just start doing something. Like I'm doing this to try and explain what is behind the strategies that we see at play in the world at the moment. And we can all do this. So I think we have to stop waiting for these political parties that should be doing far more that are not, because yeah, I mean it's quite interesting, isn't it, that Bannon said that he's anti-establishment. Well, and then you had Trump sort of who started to use this fake news, but maybe they're not necessarily so far-fetched from things that we feel as well. But you know, no, it's they've co-opted it into something different. But yeah, we see the problems with the establishment. We see the problems with the mainstream media as well. And we can make our own light version of it to counter their dark version of it. And we can do this together. And we can start pressuring our political parties on the left to try and do this too. But, you know, let's just go grassroots.